All right, for today's Zentangle lesson, I've taken something out of the newspaper. This is actually the beautiful advert that Westpac has been running that says we're all in this together, and I think the picture is really stunning. So big ups to whoever the artist was that created this picture for that advertisement. And what I've done is I've taken it out of the paper, cut it out, and I've stuck it down on my it's just basically an A4 piece of thick cartridge paper. And now I'm just going to draw a little aura line right the way around it to begin this project. So we're just going to start with a nice tight aura, following the outline. And today we're going to make a sort of a border tangle, and I love border tangles because you can use them around photographs, drawings, anything you like, and it's just basically going to give us a lovely frame for any artwork or any family photograph, anything like that. And I kind of like the idea I might just do a little series of border tangles because there are so many beautiful tangles you can use to create lovely borders for your artworks, lovely frames. And it gives us a way to allow our Zentangle to enhance other precious things and precious memories. So now I've got my outside aura right around my image, and the next thing I want to do is I want to create probably about this sort of distance. I want to create one nice line that follows about a similar width all the way around my image. I'm just trying to use one continuous line and with a relaxed hand and a relaxed mind. And that's about the width that my border is going to be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start down at one edge here. And this border, well, this tangle is actually called elegans, E-L-E-G-A-N-Z. Elegans, and it goes something like this. I'm going to take my pen from this corner here, and I'm going to pretend it hits the border there and comes around sort of a circle and back, down, up again, this time around. This is a bit of a tricky one because it had the bird's feathers sticking into it, so I'm just imagining where the lines would otherwise go. Looks like that. Now at this end I'm going to go in the reverse way, so I'm going to look at around, back. I just love this tangle because, and I love the name of it, elegans, because it is that sort of elegant, almost kind of really old-fashioned sort of border. And always continuing on from the last one, going in the opposite direction. So going down, scooping around, squishing in a big orb. And you might be using the same image from the newspaper, or you might be using a square photograph or a circular photograph. It won't matter. You will just make up the curves and roll with the pattern as you go, because it will, again, being the beauty of Zentangle, they'll all look quite kind of different. That one I feel like it can only really fit 2 in there. What I might do is just start at the bottom again and go so that we meet up together there. Well, let's see what that does. I love how in Zentangle you're just making it up as you go along, and there are no mistakes. That's one of the big things that Rick and Marie are always saying. There are no mistakes, only happy accidents. So when you do a line that you think, oh, shouldn't have been there, it so often turns into something that, in actual fact, just seems to be in the right place after all. You know, as far as hobbies go, Zentangle is not a bad one to have. It's cheap, it's easy, you can do it anywhere. You don't need terribly many specialist pieces of equipment, and really it's incredibly mindful. Plus, of course, when you're finished, you have something really beautiful. But, once you're a Zentangler, you never need to buy a birthday card, and very rarely do you even need to buy any presents. You can make them all. And it's really nice to keep in mind the person that you're making it for as you're making it. And sitting comfortably, remembering to breathe and holding your pen lightly. Once you've had a look at that and appreciate what you've created there, and the next part of this is actually to find these gaps in between the 2 different sets of 3. It's going to make them a little, almost like flux. And it's going to have a little few bits there, the edge of which we're going to blacken. And then there's these gaps in between here as well. I think they can have little hearts in them. This one here looks like it's just going to suit a little orb. So you can kind of make up what you're doing in the gaps. Make that up as you go along, and just colouring in what you've left over. Wow, happy tangling. I hope you're loving what you're creating. Just going to pause things so that this movie isn't ridiculously long. And when you join me back again, hopefully I've filled in just about the entire piece. All right, so we're looking good. Got our beautiful border. We're going to do some shading next, but before we do, I'm just going to show you something that I tend to do with these little elegans. What they are is in Zentangle they call them muka, which is just that one shape of a curly thing. And I often find that when I finish them, I feel like they've got a blunt edge, so I just try to find the edge of them and give it a little flick, just to make it really give that appearance of real roundness. Sort of change that around and flick it how it's most comfortable, but finding the end of it and just sort of flicking it around a little. And to me that just gives them a slightly more finished or polished or rounded look. Not necessary for all of them, but some of them. Now I'm going to put down my pen, and I'm just going to get my get my pencil, and I'm going to really just apply some shade all the way around the very inside of this border. And I'm also going to apply it all around the very outside of the border so that just making sure that I stay inside the border lines. Like all of us, stay inside your border. And then using that tortillon, we're going to just give it that little bit of smooth. You find that the tortillon behaves differently on different papers, and that's great. On this one it can really do with a lot of smudging, and it comes out really nicely. Doesn't wreck the fibres of the paper or anything. So that's all around the inside edge, and now exactly the same all around the outside edge. Just smoothing that graphite down and giving it a really soft, blended appearance. Really effective. We haven't quite finished our shading yet. We're just going to give each of our circles a bit of a smile, and also all of where our stems gather. Just using our blending stump, I'm just going to whip through and blend all those lines. And there you have your finished elegans border. I'm probably going to cut around that again, so I'll just use my scissors and cut around the shape. But just to show you another one that I did here, this one was after we had a manager's team meeting, and we discussed all of our what were our important values as a team, and then took a photo and did our elegans around that. So this is a good example of how you can use coloured coloured paper, coloured pens, and also how you might use a white, if you've got a white charcoal or a white chalk, to add highlights, as well as using the black for shade and low lights. And then this one was just a family photo that I did the same thing with. It's a bit reflecting here because you can see it's been framed. So I hope you really enjoy having some fun with elegans and using it as a border tangle. Maybe, yeah, enjoy yourselves. Aroha nui. We're all in this together.